Shoulder dislocations. There are like lots of ways to put a shoulder back in. Just get good at a couple of ways. These are the three rarer kinds that I wanted to bring up because we're really familiar with anterior right? It's the 20-year-old male that comes in, right? That's the typical presentation. I speak male fluently. Yeah, I'm allowed to make fun of my own in-group, just so you know. We lack an X chromosome, and that is like on the pain scale, I think, and so we just don't do well with pain. I mean, I always tell the patients that the worst type of patient is a male physician, but because we have no coping skills at all. It's like a man cold always. Posterior shoulder dislocations. Okay, posterior shoulder dislocations, weird. How do you get them? You get electrocuted. Okay, so electrocutions, I haven't seen any from electrocutions. All of the ones that I have seen are from seizures. Somebody comes in, has a grand mal seizure, and they're either, we have to intubate them because they're in status or something like that, and they wake up 2 days later, extubated in the ICU going, God, my shoulders are killing me. And you took that post-reduction film because you're good. Right? You took the post-reduction film, or the post-intubation film to see that, oh yeah, the tube's placed properly, but the shoulders are symmetrical, and they're both out. Oh, and you feel bad. All right? And so the other time is when they're seizing, it's not a status epilepticus. They pop both shoulders out. They're postictal for a while. Then they wake up and start complaining about their shoulders. When you get the shoulder x-rays, when you get the chest x-ray, and you're looking and it's symmetrical, think, is the glenohumeral joint intact or is the humerus out of the glenohumeral joint? And if they're both out, you got bilateral posterior shoulder dislocations. And I've had that with seizure patients. I've not seen it with electric shocks. Luxatio erecta. Sounds like a hotel in the Strip here, or something you'd hear on cable news about men and their problems with erectile dysfunction. We've got, ask your doctor about whether Luxatio erecta is right for you. But this is a very unique kind. It's an anterior shoulder dislocation, but the patient comes in like this. Has anybody seen this? I've seen one case in 30 years. It was recently, and had a resident on. And this patient comes in, they're lying on the stretcher, the gurney, the EMS is bringing them in, and they go by like this. And I go, Luxatio erecta. And the resident goes, damn, you're good, doctor. And it was. We took an x-ray, and it was a Luxatio erecta. The nice thing about this is the same techniques can be used to put this shoulder in as you would a regular anterior shoulder dislocation. You can get a posterior Luxatio erecta dislocation. I've never seen one. Got to watch out for these. They take a lot of, like a Luxatio erecta, you've usually torn out the rotator cuff significantly. These are getting x-rays, right? The person who's the chronic dislocator, I dove into the pool or something like that. I was volleyball and spiking the ball or basketball. My hands were above my shoulder. This is the most vulnerable point we have, right? Our hand above our head for our shoulder dislocations. Those people, I'm not necessarily getting x-rays, but for anybody with a traumatic cause or a fall or something like that, I am getting x-rays. There's the scapular rotation, which I'm going to show you the technique. Inline traction. Sometimes you need to do procedural sedation, but I'm going to show you a technique that you don't need to do any procedural sedation. It's the Jedi mind trick of shoulder reductions, and I'm going to show you it. Watch out for the Hill-Sachs lesions. And then the neurovascular exam is pretty important, right? There's a nerve up here. Anybody know what that nerve is? Axillary, thanks, Canadian. So yeah, the axillary nerve, C5 up here, right? So I just stroked them there. Can you feel me touching you there? Great, super. Can you feel me touching you after? Great, super. So you check those. 20 different low force techniques. The first one they're showing is the Fairs technique. That's when the patient or your assistant holds the patient on that side of the bed while you go like this. Slow and steady. The other version of that is you get somebody to tie a towel or a sheet around their axilla to give that counter traction, and they lean back and you lean back and pull on the arm. If you don't have that many people, you can just use the patient's body weight and pull them straight up. That's the spasso technique. I don't use that technique. The technique I tend to use is where I have someone give counter traction and I do the external rotation and elevation like that. But you can do the scapular rotation technique. So you put your thumbs where the scapula is, and then you slowly push up medially. I've tried it. It depends on the person's body habitus. You know, getting your hands and how big their chest is and stuff like that. It can be a little difficult sometimes depending on how big the person is. And so again, I like to think about this and not about this. So I like to have easier techniques where I don't have to use brutane to put them back in. This isn't a brutal one. It's just a bit more difficult sometimes to put back in. So this is the Jedi mind trick. Listen to me now. That's my Yoda, by the way. Do or do not. There is no try. So what you do is, this is the Cunningham technique. There's lots of videos on YouTube that you can see, but you sit across from the patient, you look deeply into their eyes, and you massage. You got to tell them in advance or you get in front of HR again. And you massage their trapezius and you talk about their day and you slowly distract them, but also distract the arm down with some gentle pressure this way and externally rotate. If you're sitting on a chair with rollers, it works better. The patient is on a fixed chair and you're on one with rollers, and you sit there and they put their hand on your shoulder, you put your hand on their shoulder, you slowly pull down, it's been pretty hot in Vegas, yeah. And you just slowly, and within 2-3 minutes, they're relaxed enough and it just slides back in. Cunningham technique, no procedural sedation. It is shorter because if you had to procedural, you go, it takes about 3 to 5 minutes to do this. Yes, but how long is it going to take to set up procedural sedation, get somebody else there, a second provider or a RESP there, and then you're going to have to monitor them for a certain period of afterwards? You can shorten your door to discharge time by just using this Jedi mind trick of the Cunningham technique. And then this is just a list of the different things. I don't think you need to know that. Don't use these techniques, okay, unless you're kayaking, okay, in Canada. You're kayaking in Canada hunting polar bears, because that's the Eskimo technique. We should probably call it the Inuit technique now, but it was traditionally called the Eskimo technique. And that's where you and your hunting partner, because you usually hunt in twos, and you're out there kayaking and the wave hits and it pops your shoulder out when you're kayaking. But you're out there and there are like polar bears wanting to eat you on the ice floe. And so what your partner would do is put their foot on your chest and pull you up. Okay? It's a slight variation on the Hippocratic method where you put your foot in their axilla and pull up. That's the Hippocratic method. They use that in sandy environments, but in snowy environments, you put it on their chest and pull up, and that's called the Eskimo technique. Please don't do those techniques.